Hello everybody and welcome to OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. I'm Jack, and today, following on from Joe's video, I wanted to bring you guys my season review for the 2018-2019 season. It's been a while. I haven't done a video in a few months. I haven't been on stream. Well, I've been on and off streams, but I have still been playing, just finishing off uni. Uni's now all done, so I was able to find some time to make this video, and Joe was able to beat me to it a little bit this year, but like I say, I wanted to bring you guys my season review as well, just to see how I've done. And first off, I want to take a look at last year's goals. So last year, at the end of the video, I lined up a couple of things I wanted to do this season. First off was achieve my Worlds invite again. I then wanted to win a cup. I wanted to make 3 day 2s, and I wanted to break 500 championship points. In the next couple of slides, you'll see whether I was actually able to achieve any of those goals. And yeah, the overall summary is I was able to achieve a couple. I finished the season on 404 championship points. I went to one last minute event this weekend, which netted me in the top 4, which was really cool. Which is actually 1 championship point more than last year. So whilst I didn't break 500, I did do better than last year. So I suppose that's an achievement. Yeah, 1 point more is at least shows consistency, I guess. It's a shame that I wasn't able to break 500 like I say, but here's hoping we can do that next year. Overall, I attended 26 different events, a variety of cups, challenges, a couple of specials, a couple of regionals, and an internet. So I've been to every single type of event this year, which is cool. My most successful deck has been Zapdos Beasts, probably one of the most enjoyable decks I've played this year. I really found it to be my style. It's very aggressive, but also quite versatile, having access to Stellar Wish with Jirachi and so much aggression through Zapdos plus E-Powers, along with things like Buzzwole and Nihilego. Being able to really capitalise on certain key turns of the game, I've really enjoyed it. It wasn't quite my favourite deck of the year, but it's the one I've been the most successful with and got the most points with. And my most successful event was Bristol Regionals, where I was able to achieve top 8 with Zapdos Beasts. So going on to the Quarter 1 Cups and Challenges. As you can see in the top corner, I've also added in my cumulative CP through the year as well, which is pretty cool. Just so you guys have an idea of when I was stressing out about my invite, when I was maybe feeling a little bit more comfortable about my invite, that kind of thing. Quarter 1 Cups and Challenges actually kicked off in Valencia back nearly a year ago now. Pre-rotation, pre-Worlds, we all headed out to Valencia for the special event. And there was also a cup on the second day. In the cup, I bubbled top 8 with Greninja Balloons. Joe and I played, I don't think we played the same 60, but we played a very similar 60, and much the same as Joe, I really wanted to play Greninja one last time. It's not a deck I particularly miss, but it was always very close to my heart. I've always enjoyed it, even if it was hated a little bit. And being able to play Balloons was really fun. It was actually a really good call for the tournament, I think. And like I say, I bubbled top 8. I remember that tournament. Knowing that bubbling was a potential, I actually took an ID to Simone Soldo, who was also playing Greninja, knowing that one of us would bubble. Unfortunately, it was me. I think on reflection, I should have played it out, because the balloons are actually a really good, useful tool in the mirror. So I may have been able to Grinch him out in the mirror with some balloon shenanigans, but either way, a top 8, not quite a top 8, but a bubble top 8 was pretty cool. There was no points, unfortunately. Or if there was points, it was quickly overtaken later on. There were some issues with points for that tournament, I remember. But yeah, that was the way I was able to... Well, that was one way I was able to see off the last tournament of the year. The second was Chesterfield Cup, where I actually achieved first place. So I did get one of my goals in the second cup I played of the season, which was really cool. I was able to win the Chesterfield Cup with Buzzgarb. This tournament actually took place the day after, or the day of the final day of Worlds. So... I remember me, Tamao and Luke, none of us were able to attend Worlds last year, but we looked at the meta, we looked at kind of what was going on, and we saw that Buzzgarb had really shown up at Worlds. We started to work out how to kind of beat it, and then realised, why don't we just play it for the last couple of tournaments? It's clearly done well at Worlds. There must be something behind this deck. Buzzgarb was actually a really strong play for around 3 months, so the deck was indeed very good. And yeah, it was able to tick off one of my goals for last year, which was really cool. I got myself a sweet Jirachi playmat as well. So yeah, I was really happy going into this year. Achieved one of my goals, achieved a first place, which was fantastic. The next cup I went to was Canuck, where I played Zorak Weavile. It might have been Zorak Weavile by now, I can't remember. I played a lot of different Zoro variants. Well, I was testing a lot of different Zoro variants at the time, so I can't remember the exact one I took, but I'm pretty sure it was Zoro Weavile. I actually dropped from this cup. It was an absolute disaster. There were a couple of matches I lost that I don't think I should ever lose 99% of the time, but I made some pretty bad plays. I also did get pretty unlucky. There were a couple of games where I think I Cynthia'd or something. Instead, I had an option to Cynthia trade or trade, and or something like that, and it one increased my outs, and I did it, and I missed it after like drastically increasing my outs. So I remember the tournament being a real downer for me, especially coming off of the first place the week before. I then went to Wakefield. We went up there just after Dragon's Majesty was released. It was actually the week after Zorak Weavile in Canuck. And I top 8'd with Lapras Quagsire. Me and Joe played the exact same 60. He went on to win the cup, so it was really cool having both of us pick up the deck, play around with it, and take it to top 8. There was actually a third person in the room playing Lapras Quagsire or Quagsire non-EXs, which was pretty cool as well. But yeah, it was nice, both of us being able to top cut, losing in top 8 to Ultra Necrozma. I went to Norwich Cup a couple of weeks later, just because I can't remember. There was a reason that I went, more than anything, I wanted to go and spend the time with Scott and Seb Simmons, who are locals to the area. They live in Norwich, so it was nice being able to go and stay with them, get some testing done with them. This was the week after Frankfurt Regionals. I played Buzzrock and actually top 8'd there. Obviously, because I had 2 finishes already, it wasn't an improvement, but there were actually no points for top 8 there anyway. Losing to Scott himself in top 8, playing Buzzgarb. So yeah, me and him had a bit of a rivalry throughout the day. We were dodging each other. We eventually hit each other, and I think he won both times, and then we hit each other again in top 8. And I basically spent the whole day trying to figure out this matchup in my head and wasn't able to work it out in time. But that's what happens sometimes. It was still a really fun tournament, and I love it over at Athena Games. It's unfortunate that it's so far away for me, but it's one of the best venues in the UK. Finally, I went to a challenge in Lille. The Lille special event took place in November. I didn't do too well, didn't get into day 2 of the main events, and because of this, I actually had a forfeit deck from, I think it was either Worlds or, I think it must have been Worlds, that my fancy draft was the weakest draft on the table, so I had to play a forfeit deck. Oh no, that's right. So Scott drafted with us and unfortunately lost the draft. I said to Scott that I would quite happily play the deck as well. If he lost, I was happy to take the forfeit as well. And the deck was a Raichu GX deck. I actually finished last place, which was it was pretty interesting. It was easily the worst deck I've ever played, but at the same time, it was fun actually seeing building a deck with a bit of a challenge. We were given, I think, 12 cards to build, and then we had to fill out the rest of the deck. The only win, I went 1-4 in that challenge. The only win I had was against a Gold Rush Alolan Dugtrio deck. So I won the meme war, but unfortunately I did finish last place. But like I say, it was a forfeit deck, so I wasn't too fussed. It was a lot of fun on the day, trying to build around some wacky cards that normally wouldn't get played. So this gave me 75 points overall for the Quarter 1 Cups and Challenges. Down to the large events. My season really didn't kick off very well. Valencia, I dropped. I played Zoropod, and it was just a huge mistake. I did not have enough experience with Zoropod. There was mirrors I was winning, which was fantastic because the list we built was designed to beat mirror. We played heavy sort of denial and then Oranguru, and a lot of people weren't prepared for Oranguru. So they would, we would basically force people to discard resources to try and just make the game finish earlier. We played a higher Racer Roll account, we played a higher EHAM account, and then we would drop a Guru and basically say, well, you're now going to deck out before us. I think I won both the mirrors I played on the day because that was basically the strategy, but there were a couple of games, including, I mean, it's a long time ago now, but the one specific game I remember was playing against Zorogarb that I think I felt favoured against in a lot of situations, because even though Zoro runs a lot of items, you can trade away exactly what you want. But I actually lost against that, so it was a pretty rough day, and I was disappointed in myself that I hadn't done better. I'd never played Zoropod before, so I did at least want to play it before all of its fun tools rotated. But that being said, it was a huge mistake, and I really this whole quarter really taught me a lot about my decision making when it came to picking decks. Because next up I played Frankfurt Regionals, and I played Buzzrock again because I was unprepared. I didn't know what to play, and thought, oh, I can probably pick this up and play it alright. I had played Buzzrock before at least, and I thought it was an okay play. There are a couple of times during the day where I did get pretty high rolled. It was right around when Vicaray was really getting popular, and if Vicaray rolls, and people can set up 2-3 Vicavolt throughout the game, and there's just nothing you can do. I was pretty disappointed with my performance, knowing that a few of us from the UK had all taken the deck, and I'd pretty badly scrubbed out with it. Again, if I'd put a bit more testing in, then perhaps we would have seen a different result, but at the same time, I did feel I got pretty high rolled on the day, which was unfortunate. And then finally Lille, I again dropped after playing Zoro Control. Zoro Control was probably the most comfortable I felt with any of these decks, just because I've been playing Zoro I've been playing Zoro for around 6-7 months at this point, in various forms. I felt comfortable with Zoro. It was a control deck, which I felt, again, pretty comfortable with after doing well with some controlling archetypes the year before. I think I was actually... I know I dropped, but I only dropped in the last round. I was actually making my way back up to points. Again, and my final loss was against a Magnezone, I think. And basically this meant that I wasn't able to make points, so I dropped in the 9th round. But that being said, I feel like I was, with a little bit more testing, I probably could have done a little bit better with the deck. It really felt like a deck that I should be good at playing and should understand well, just from a controlling sort of background. But unfortunately it wasn't able to go too well. And again, so there was no points for large events from quarter one, which was a bit of a downer. I wasn't worried about my invite, so to speak, immediately, but it would have been nice to sort of get the ball rolling well, and unfortunately I wasn't able to. So going into Cups and Challenges quarter two, I still only had 75 points. First cup as of Lost Thunder's release was Chesterfield Cup. It's one of my favourite venues in the UK. The events are always a lot of fun. There's often a lot of... It's sort of the local for a lot of our testing group as well, so there's always a lot of familiar faces there. And I was able to top 8 with Zoroark, Ninetales, Weavile. Ninetales was easily my favourite card from the set, along with Elm. It just pushed Zoroark in a completely new direction, which was insane, and it made it super consistent, I think. And you can see that I stuck with Zoro for the majority of this quarter. I don't know. This was when I really enjoyed Zoroark. Mysterious Guidance made it, I think, even more consistent. The format was so ability heavy. Weavile was such a strong card, and yeah, it was just a really fun deck. Throughout the day, I just really enjoyed myself. I ended up losing in top 8 to Jake Malander playing Buzzrock. I think it was Buzzrock Tails, so he was trying out the Ninetales to search B strings, and after defeating him in Swiss through some pretty bad luck on his side, he was able to quite rightly beat the matchup in top 8, which was fair enough. But yeah, it was a fantastic deck, and I really enjoyed it. I took the same deck to Sutton Coldfield. Again, a relatively local tournament. One big thing this year is I've played relatively local tournaments. There's been a couple of times where I've attended stuff a little bit further out the field, but majorly I've been attending local stuff just because of uni. So being able to go back to Sutton Coldfield, which is actually one of the places I started playing in, which was really cool. It was nice seeing everyone there again. Again, I stuck with the same deck. This I'm almost certain I stuck with the same deck again as well. There are a couple of cups here where I'm a little bit shaky, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I took this almost the same 60, and was unable to top cup with it. There was I think one of the only losses I remember. I don't remember too much about the tournament, but one of the big losses was against a spread deck that I wasn't able to heal enough damage heal out enough against. So that's one of the only things I remember about that tournament. That was one of the last tournaments that I properly. Well, this was one of the first times that I started to look away from Zoroark, because the final was between two of my friends, one of which was playing Psychic Mally. So this is where I started. You'll see in a little bit that I start picking up Malamar a little bit and trying that out. I go to Daventry Challenge as well, and also play Zoro Tails, and just get matchup rouletted. I hit I hit a Mally spread, which I tie, and a Sceptile, which basically means I'm out of points immediately, just because you hit a tie and a loss super early. And the challenges are so small, so challenges are really, really weird. You should just play best deck in format, I think, for those. But whilst I did feel like it was best deck in format, it just didn't work out for me that day. But yeah, going to a few more challenges this year, I've realised that a lot of the time a consistent list is super important, and usually one of the top 2 or 3 decks built to be consistent is the most important thing for that kind of tournament. Loughborough Cup, again, another local for me. I played Zoroark Tails. That tournament was abysmal for me. I don't even remember what my losses were to. I know one of them was a mirror. I don't remember what the other one was. But I remember dropping on round 2, because it was a 5-round tournament with only a top 4, so going 0-2 basically guaranteed I wouldn't cut. So I remember dropping after round 2, which is one of the earliest drops I've ever had in a tournament, but I knew I wasn't going to be playing for much anymore, so I was able to head home early. Then went to the Newcastle upon Tyne Cup, where I top 8'd with Psychic Malamar. This was where I started to pick up Malamar a little bit. And yeah, it was. I ended up losing to Luke Kirkham in top 8, playing Buzz Weavile, basically Buzzwole that was designed to beat Malamar. So it was always going to be a hard matchup. But yeah, this was really where I started to pick up Malamar a little bit and just try something other than Zoro, because despite loving Ninetales and loving Elm, this was around February time, where by then there were more consistent decks, and there were also just sort of better decks out there. Buzzwole was a little bit more popular. And yeah, Zoroark hadn't fallen off the map, but it had fallen out of favour for me. I'd tried for like 2 or 3 months, had some good results with it, but wanted to try something else just because Zoroark started to not work as well for me. The same weekend I went to Milton Keynes Challenge and played Psychic Malamar, the exact same 60 I'm pretty sure. I was able to take first place. Again, just playing something consistent is super important for challenges. They're fun for testing different decks, but I think if you want to win them, just playing a super consistent 60 is very, very... You can go far wrong just not playing that kind of deck, so sticking to something consistent is, I think, super important. And finally, Daventry Cup. This was when we knew tag teams were coming in, and it looked like Zoroark was probably going to struggle to keep up with them in some cases. And that being said, I really wanted to try Zoroark one last time. Again, I don't know what it is about Daventry, but I always seem to pair Sceptiles or play against Sceptiles in Daventry. But yeah, I ended up hitting a Sceptile in that tournament as well, which knocked me out of winning in, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I played Zoroark Tails again, just kind of as my last attempt to play Zoroark before Team Up came out. This put me on 140 points, and then the Court 2 large events took me up to 200, as I was able to top 32, 32nd place, super squeaky. Top 32 Harrogate Regionals with Zoroark, Lycanroc, Ninetales. A really, really great tournament. This was why I think I clung onto Zoroark as long as I did, and perhaps I shouldn't have. I have always enjoyed Zoroark. I am actually very sad to see it go during rotation. I'm glad it's going from a how stale it is point of view, but I do really, really enjoy the card, and the decks that it builds, so I am kind of sad to see it go. But yeah, this tournament was great. I really, really enjoyed it. This was my first big achievement after not being signed by Complexity, but starting to work with them on their graphics and content and that kind of thing. So it was nice having like a team there backing me as well. There was a couple of us. There was Stephen as well. There was Alex. And there was Luke. We were all there. trying to compete for the top 8, which was unfortunately a little bit out of reach for me, but I was able to, like I say, make 32nd. I think there was 35 or 36 players, so I desperately did not want to be one of those bottom 4 that misses out on the top 32 rewards. So yeah, it was a fantastic sort of finish to the year. This was back in December. So yeah, 200 points going into quarter 3. Quarter 3, a friend of mine, Connor, had been playing Mali Spread right around when I was playing Psychic Mali. So going into this quarter, I decided I wanted to kick things off with Mali Spread. Things like Onyx and Larvitar were able to keep Pikarom in check, and Zapdos, those kind of matchups were naturally very favourable because they had to put they often put a lot of Jirachis down and that kind of thing, and also Coco had weakness on the Zapdoses. So the two big decks from Team Up both felt like positive matchups. Chesterfield, I was able to make 21st. I didn't. There were a couple of awkward pairings in that tournament where I think there were a couple of sort of matchups around me that were better than, or that I could have rolled into better. But I actually ended up hitting at least one mirror in that tournament when I think there was only 3 of us in the room. I think it was me and Tamao that ended up hitting the mirror, and unfortunately he was able to beat me in the mirror. And then there was also a Zapdos that again is a favourable matchup, but I actually lost to or tied to or something. So it wasn't a fantastic start to the tournament. I then went to Daventry Cup and played the same 60. That tournament went a little bit better. Unfortunately, I did hit again. I think I hit a Sceptile in that tournament as well, which just has so much healing. It has the Jungle Healing GX. It has max potions, that kind of thing. So it was actually really difficult. You have to kind of Necrozma blow up their Sceptiles, and you become more of a Malamar deck rather than a spread deck, which was really difficult to play around. So yeah, unfortunately, Daventry. I'm yet to make points at Daventry, which sucks because it is the most local tournament for me. Where now I'm not living at uni, so it's sad that I'm always unable to make points there. But it is always a super stacked tournament. I must admit, there's been 2 or 3 times this year where we've gone and there's been named players from all over the UK there. So it's always a difficult tournament, but I do really want to try and get points there this year. I went to Lowestoft Cup. That was an absolute trek. That was about 3.5 hours away. Me, Luke, and my friend James. I played Zoroark Vile. This was kind of when the meta had settled down a bit. I played Zoroark Vile, but I think I played a thin line of Lucario as well. Or it might have been a thin line of Weavart. One of the 2 lines was thin, but either way, I had basically built it to have a very strong Pikarom matchup because I had Lycanroc. And I had a thin Lucario line as well, and I was able to top 4 there. There was a top 8 cut. It was really interesting actually, because this is my first experience of playing against a developed Zap Beasts list. And in the first couple of weeks of the quarter, it was just Zapdos, Jirachi, kind of lightning techs. But my friend James played Zap Beasts, and he took me out in top 4. And went on to win the cup, so that was a real good achievement for him. But this was my first experience of Zap Beasts, and I was like, okay, this deck seems cool. I beat a couple of Zapdos decks with Zoroark, just because Muck was so important at this point. That a lot of lists were playing a heavy Muck line, but also at the same time, this was around the time where we started to develop playing Zebstrika in Zapdos. So this was the first tournament where I saw that if you played Zebstrika and Zapdos, Zoroark was actually a pretty fine matchup, because if they went like double Muck, you just went double Zebra, and you just completely forgot about the Jirachis and was able to sprint all the time. So this is where Zapdos Beast started to get on my radar a little bit more. Wakefield Cup went again abysmally. I ended up, I think, 40th there, about 44 players or something, 43 players. It went really bad for me, and this was the last time I actually ever played Zoroark. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember a time since playing Zoroark. Zoroark was just dead to me. It required if it high rolled, it won. If it got set up, it won. But Let Loose was really starting to get popular. It was too slow in a format with Pika Rom and Zapdos, and I just decided that Zoroark wasn't for me anymore, which was really sad because it's been one of my favourite cards all year. But it was time to put Zoroarks away, and I ended up picking up some Zapdos and trying Zapbeast for myself, and this was the best decision I made all season. Zapbeast was easily one of my favourite decks I've played all season. Kick things off with a challenge in Milton Keynes. Again, it further solidifies the fact that I think if you just play a good deck for challenges that is pretty consistent, you can't go too wrong. Sometimes it won't work out, but I think the majority of the time it's just the correct decision. Ended up getting first place there, which was really cool. And yeah, there was, I think this was towards the end of the, this was towards the end of the team up format. I think it was maybe the week Unbroken Ones was released or something. Yeah, I think it must have been the week Unbroken Ones was released. I picked up Zapdos. You'll see in a minute that I'd already played Zapdos a little bit, but this was my first real success with Zapdos. And then the next day I top 8'd Sutton Coldfield Cup with a very similar list. I think I actually could have gone further in that tournament. I think I actually had the potential to at least get to the final. The final was the most difficult matchup. In top 8 I lost to a Zoroark deck that the guy is lovely, but he high rolled so hard. He high rolled super hard. I could never get, like, he got turn 2. I think I Guzma KO'd like Ditto every turn, and he was able to still every turn 2, and he was still able to get turn 2 Muck plus like 3 Zoroarks and a knockout turn 2 on his end every game. So it was like sometimes you just don't win. There was a couple of times where I just missed energy for like Coco GX or that kind of thing. Missing Buzz, like the matchup is really, it does kind of depend on the Buzzwole and the Hiligo turns, and there are a couple of times where I missed those turns as well. I think in a lot of cases that matchup is favoured for me, especially with Double Zebra, but unfortunately on that day it wasn't. I think if I had won that, I had Pika Rom in top 4, which I think was a very, very strong matchup with Nihiligo, Buzzwole and Tapu Koko GX. They have a lot to play around. And then the final would have been, I believe, a Zapdos Mirror, which can kind of go either way. So I don't think it would have been like if I'd won top 8 I would have won the cup or anything, but I think my top 4 matchup was a pretty favourable matchup for me, so I'd like to think I would have been able to make it to the final and maybe even make a second win for this season, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get past the Zoroark in top 8, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'm on 272, including cups and challenges from quarter 3. The 2 large events that took place in quarter 3 were EOIC Berlin, where I played Zapbeasts. Again, I didn't know what to play. I tried Pika Rom. It just wasn't working for me. I wasn't happy with it. So I ended up moving to Zapdos, which just felt a bit more consistent, a bit more sort of in my control. Pika Rom has a lot of lines to play, and sometimes you can go down the wrong line, and if you go down the wrong line a little bit too early, it all kind of goes wrong for you. So I felt just more comfortable with Zapdos, just because I think it was more to my play style, and I wasn't a good enough Pika Rom player to take it to a tournament. This tournament was super sad. I really wanted to make my invite at this tournament because it would have taken the pressure off massively for my exams, but I wasn't able to make points there. I actually was only 1 win away from points, which was sad. But I lost against... I hit a couple of mirrors, which were ties. I hit, I think, 3 control decks, which was just insane because Zapdos doesn't like playing control decks. And I hit a couple of Pika Roms, which again I think should be favourable matchups, but I know I at least lost one or tied one of them, which I was a little bit salty about because again I think it should be a very, very good matchup for me. But yeah, Berlin was a fantastic weekend. I loved every second of it, but it was unfortunate that I wasn't able to make points there because it would have really taken the pressure off right before my exams. But because of that, I did end up attending Bristol Regionals as well, and I'm so glad I did. I didn't take the same 60. Did I take the same 60? No, I didn't take the same 60. I took a similar 60. May and ARG member Maze Brankmeyer, who also took Zapbeasts to a top 16 or top 32 finish at Berlin. I had a chat with him about the list, and made some changes. And yeah, this was a fantastic tournament for me. I ended up top 8ing. It was which got me 100. I was happy with. I think I said to myself I'd be happy with just making points, because it meant I just could go to cups in the final quarter after my exams were done and try and get my tournament, try and get my invite that way. But instead, basically I then top 32'd, which was like, oh, I need to go to challenges now. Top 16'd, which meant I only need to go to one challenge, and then top 8'd, which actually meant that top 16 was my invite, and then top 8 was just more prizes, more cash, more boxes, playmat, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was a really, really fun tournament. I ended up losing to Ultra Necrozma in top 8. Adam Hawkins, fantastic player. Again, I think the matchup with the list I had, I should have been favoured. Maybe this is just me. I think I should have been favoured, but maybe I threw, maybe I got unlucky. I don't know what happened, but unfortunately he was able to knock me out in top 8. It would have been a very difficult tournament from there on, because top 4 would have been against the mirror against Nico Alabas, and the final would have been some kind of stalling variant, both of which are at best 50-50, if not unfavourable matchups for me. So it wouldn't have been sort of clean sheet from there, but I do think the way that I built the list with Maze, or the advice that Maze had given me about the list, I think I should have been favourable against Ultra Mali, but unfortunately he was able to knock me out. But I was super happy with the top 8 anyway. My second ever top 8, which is really, really good. My second day 2 of the year, and I achieved my Worlds invite around a week before my exams. So I then basically packed up, didn't play Pokemon for about a month. Kind of kept in the loop, watched some streams while I was revising, that kind of thing. But as I was over my invite, I wasn't too fussed. Until last weekend, where I decided to go to Hull Cup, just because it had been so long. Had no idea what to play, so I decided to play Zap Beasts again. Ended up top 4ing, taking me to 404, which was 1 point over the over what I got last year, which was, I guess, I didn't even realise the top 4 would have done that, but it was a nice little achievement to make. And yeah, lost to Luke in top 4, who was able to then make his way and win the cup and hopefully guarantee his top 22 place, which was really, really cool. It was a long journey, but it was a nice way to at least have a tournament to finish off the season at least, which was cool. So yeah, 404 points. The breakdown, I should say 244 points from cups and challenges. 1 win, 1 cup win, 2 challenge wins, 2 top 4s and 4 top 8s. I don't have a second finish for this quarter. I won't be getting a second finish for this quarter because I literally have no reason to go to anything. But I have had at least 2 top 8s in every quarter bar this one, which is it's important to me. I want to be top 8ing at least 2 tournaments a quarter, which is I'm glad I was able to do. And then 160 points from larger events, 2 day 2s and 1 top 8. Again, not the 3 day 2s I would have liked, but 2 day 2s is still pretty admirable. I was only able to get 1 last year, I think, so it's an improvement again on last year. Not quite where I want to be, but hopefully we'll get there. My favourite deck of the year was actually Zoro Rocktails. Despite having so much success with Zap Beasts, I can't deny my love for Zoroark. Trade is such a strong ability. The deck is, when it sets up, insanely consistent. I think it's a very thinky deck, knowing what to trade, knowing when to trade, that kind of thing. And yeah, 100% was my favourite deck to play this year. Followed closely by Zap Beasts, just because of how successful it's been for me and how much I've enjoyed being able to Stellar Wish and that kind of thing. But Zoro Rocktails was my favourite deck of the year. Finally, on to next season. Unfortunately, this is kind of a broken record, pretty similar to last year. There's not too many changes. But my Worlds invite, once again, I've done it 2 years in a row. There's no reason I shouldn't be doing it. I want to be at Worlds every year that I try now on, and I'm going to be trying again next year. Next year I want to win 3 cups, up from 1. I was able to win 1 super early and then didn't win another, so I'm pretty annoyed at myself that I wasn't able to at least win a second. But I want to win 3 cups this year. Now uni's over, I'm hoping to be able to start learning to drive soon, that kind of thing, and be able to attend tournaments almost every weekend if I can. The more tournaments I attend, the more likely I'm going to be able to win these cups, but also the better I'm going to get at the game. So I'm hoping this will go hand in hand with being able to attend more tournaments, being able to improve, and also win some more cups, especially with all these mats that are coming out. There's so many mats that I really, really like, and I really want to be pushing myself to get them, even if it's just for the mats alone, because they all look really cool. So yeah, I want to win at least 3 cups next year. Again, a pretty small goal to some people that are winning 2 cups every 2 weeks, like a cup every first 2 weeks of the quarter, but to me it's a goal that I would like to achieve. 3 day 2s, including EUIC. I was disappointed that I didn't make points at EUIC this year. I really want to next year. I would actually really like to day 2 EUIC next year. Right now we haven't got any confirmation as to how the tournament structure is going to be. Maybe 3 day 2s is unrealistic, maybe 3 day 2s is easy because we're going to get loads of tournaments. But assuming we have the exact same amount of tournaments as this year, as we do next year, I would like to make 3 day 2s. There were at least 3, I think there was only 3, but there were 3 large events that I didn't attend. There was the Bolzano, the Bolzano and Cannes special events, and the Sweden regionals. I didn't attend any of those. I would like to attend all big tournaments next year, ideally, at least all big regionals. Sweden was super expensive, which was one of the only reasons why I didn't, but I had no reason not to other than that. I just couldn't afford it. But that being said, I want to be making day 2 at 3 big tournaments, and I'd like to go to all of the big tournaments next year, maybe even start travelling outside of Europe as well, depending on whether I can afford it, that kind of thing. But yeah, mainly I want to get points at EUIC again, and I want to day 2 EUIC. EUIC is, to me, one of the biggest tournaments of the year, if not the biggest, because I haven't been to Worlds yet. It was the biggest tournament of the year, so I really, really want to do well next year. Similar to last year, I want to break 500 points, nothing exciting there. I'd love to be able to say I'd like to top 22, but I don't think I'm at that level yet. Whether I'm ever at that level, I don't know, but right now I think it would be an unrealistic goal to set. So right now I just want to try and keep pushing for more and more points each season. It was one of my goals last year and I didn't achieve it, so I'm kind of forcing myself to put it back in here rather than bump it up even more, because I want to prove to myself that I can do this before bumping it up even more. But yeah, being able to hopefully go to many more tournaments and all of the big tournaments this year will hopefully make that easier. And finally, I want to explore some more statistics of the game. I do all of the pie charts and stuff for ARG, and this means that I'm dealing with numbers within the game very, very frequently. I come from a mathematics background. I've just finished a maths degree, so I really want to explore some of the statistics of this game, matchup percentages, conversion rates, that kind of thing. And I've been leading on from that. I've been able to speak to a couple of really, really sort of highly regarded names in the community that do a lot of statistics work. A lot of the people on my team, people like Maze and Alex, do a lot of statistics work anyway, but also people like Rukan, the guys over at PTCG Stats as well. I've been able to speak to them a bit more frequently over the past few weeks, especially as I've not had exams, so I've been able to look at this stuff a little bit more. So I really want to be able to do some cool stuff with that. Hopefully bring you guys some more cool ARG stuff regarding graphics and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's just a personal goal that isn't really to do with an achievement or anything. It's just something that I would really like to look into this year. I'd also like to look into some unofficial commentary if we are able to, or if there are any opportunities to do so. But I haven't put that as a goal just because it completely depends on whether there are opportunities opened up to me, but it is something that I may be interested in exploring at some point, definitely. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. It's been a little bit longer than last year's. I've rambled a little bit more, but it's probably because I haven't seen or spoken to you guys for so long. I wanted to chat a little bit more. Unified Minds is not quite around the corner, but I'm already testing the format because obviously it will be our rotation and Worlds format. And I would love to be able to do well at my first ever Worlds. I'm not counting on it, but it would be fantastic if I could. If you're there, please say hi. It will be my first Worlds. I will probably be absolutely sort of just in awe of everything. But if you're there, come say hi. Love meeting you guys as always. Hopefully I'll be around on streams and stuff a little bit more now my exams are over. I can't promise anything, but I have a little bit more free time now, so if I can get to streaming and stuff again with Joe, I would love to. Like I say, I can't promise anything, but hopefully in the pipeline that'll be something that happens. So yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support as always this season. Hopefully you enjoyed my tournament or season rundown, and I look forward to seeing you guys in another video hopefully very, very soon. Cheers everyone.